you have it all together. And also want to touch on this idea of we think that success is going to make us happy. If I just achieve more, if I just make more money, get the nicer car, have the nicer house. But the research really shows that joy, which is the motion, the momentary emotion, leads to a life that you're flourishing and happiness, which leads to success. We've got it ass backwards. We're like taught to climb up this ladder of success, and we get to the top and we're like, why am I not happy? Because as you were saying earlier, we're living someone else's story and our ladder's up against the wrong building. And then welcome to the Rock Your Midlife podcast, your transformative sanctuary designed to guide you through self-discovery and provide the tools you need to find your purpose and navigate life authentically. Whether you want to optimize your health, boost your happiness, or deepen your self-love, this podcast is your ultimate toolkit. Welcome to Rock Your Midlife. I'm Dr. Ellen, the Midlife Whisperer, and I'm thrilled that you are here because my guest today is Bradley Richardson. I connected with Bradley. I think I've been following him for years on Instagram. And you know what I love about him is his humor. He's refreshing. He's knowledgeable. He's so real. And I don't know, in today's day and age, I'm seeing so many people over 50, 60, 70. I'm seeing so many AI generated older people. And I think those of us who are like real, these are my real wrinkles, you know, the real lack of hair or gray hair, whatever it is. And he's just so real. He's got such a big heart. He's all about making a difference and helping people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond do what he's calling advanced adulting. So if you're new to Bradley, let me share. He is a 5 times best-selling author, speaker, and creator of Advanced Adulting, a platform dedicated to helping grown-ass adults 45 to 65 navigate the shifts and challenges of midlife and beyond. Bradley's insights have been featured in the Wall Street Journal, Rolling Stone, Good Morning America, NPR, and more. Author of one of the first books for Gen X back in the 90s when he had hair. And we were all younger. I remember those days. I was part of the cooking couple, writing books like Food is Foreplay. Bradley now focuses on creating impactful content and conversations for this stage of life, aka advanced adulting. Welcome to Rock Your Midlife, Bradley.
Thank you. I have followed you for a long time as well, and it's so nice to actually be a guest here. Thank you.
I know. I feel like I know you already. You know, that's kind of the strange thing about social media. We feel like we know people intimately, particularly, you know, if you share your vulnerability. I think we got a conversation because somebody said something nasty to you because of your lack of hair. And I was totally supportive.
Well, yeah, and thank you. I mean, one of the best compliments, you know, is, to me anyway, is, hey, you're real or you're relatable. And that's it. And because I'm so far from perfect. I'm a highly flawed man and still learning things every day. And I also have a lot of answers. I know a lot of stuff. I've done really well. But I get so tired of everything on social media now, especially. You talk about the AI people, whether it's AI or whether it's everybody's an expert, everybody's a thought leader, everybody's, you know, a visionary. I'm like, really? Really? Okay? Because I think in this midlife space, there's a gap. Because there's so much showmanship and performance. And when the reality is, man, we're going through a lot of stuff. Everybody is going through, you know, we're all going through this age on this rock at the same time, and we're experiencing a lot of these same things. It's just nice to get someone who's willing to talk about it and be open and, you know, vulnerable or just real.
Yeah, I think that the connection piece is really, really important. So I'm curious, how did you get into the space? You started in the 90s with your generation, Gen X, and started talking about, and, you know, I think you talk about sort of the scenarios change, but some of the basic problems, I think things like, you know, self-esteem and confidence and learning to accept yourself as you are, being okay that you're not perfect, all of the, and worry, anxiety. My people are always like worry, anxiety, stress, particularly in the craziness of the world today. How did you get started as a non-thought leader, thought leader?
Thank you. So I grew up in West Texas. You know, if you've seen that show Landman, that's where I grew up, and it's the real deal. But I also had this weird upbringing where I I played tennis growing up all over the world, and I ended up going to school at Oklahoma, and I worked for one of the early internet companies in the 90s, very, very first companies. I'm in my 20s, and I kept a journal. I wasn't a good student, or anything. I just kept a journal of everything I did right, wrong, good, bad, or indifferent, because school didn't prepare me for what it was like to start your career in the 90s. And that journal, I ended up turning into a book back when you actually could sell books, So I had some connections through my business, and they introduced me to some folks at Random House that bought my first book at 20. They actually bought 11 pages of my journal at age 27, and we turned that into a book that hit number 5 on the Wall Street Journal's list. And at 27, and it was called Job Smarts for 20-somethings, and it was basically the real deal, no bullshit tale of how you get hired as a young adult and become a professional. The things that we all experience, but nobody tells you. And it wasn't, it was just the real stuff. It wasn't super high flying, but it was like, hey, you don't sleep with your coworkers. Hey, here's how you treat people. I mean, just the real deal. And that really led to a pretty great career for a long time. I guess I'm what you'd call an OG influencer before social media, but I was doing the media and speaking and working with companies on hiring young adults, and I did that through my 20s and 30s, and I'd written some other books as well at the time. I got married, raised kids. I wrote books on being a dad. Basically, it was this whole idea of chronicling our lives as we matriculate it. And I'm one of the oldest Gen X, so that was it. And I ended up being an executive headhunter for a long, long time, stopped writing. And, that was because, like a lot of people, my former wife didn't really, she liked part of it, but didn't like a lot of it. So I kind of hid myself and hid my voice and put that away. And I'd already cranked out 5 books and had bestsellers. And then, like a lot of people, I got divorced and found myself, I don't know who I am. I'd kind of lived under other people's labels, other people's expectations, whether it was my parents, whether it was a spouse, whether it was society or job, and you get caught up in it. And I finally was like, I want to get back to me. It wasn't a case of reinvention; it was rediscovering. And I wanted to get back to who I felt my best with. And so it was about 5 or 6 years ago. So social media comes along, and I thought, we're supposed to have our shit together at this age, and I really don't. I mean, there's a lot of ways that I do on the outside looking in, and a lot of ways I'm just still figuring it out. And that's when I came up with the idea for advanced adulting, and it was this idea of really helping grown-ass adults navigate all of these things. And that led to building the brand and really helping folks out with these things that we encounter and at midlife and beyond. Because when you're 27, no one says, well, I wonder what's going to be like in my second marriage. I wonder what's going to be like to actually be told after spending a career for 30 years that you're not needed, or that you wake up divorced and go, wow, what do I like? What do I really like and want to do? What's it like to lose a parent or care for parents? And those are a lot of the real things of how I've gotten here. And we built up a huge platform of just being real and saying the quiet parts out loud.
Yeah, it's so important to talk about it. And a couple things I want to pick up on, besides the fact we had similar trajectories. I mean, I remember putting press releases in envelopes with our first book was Food is Foreplay. And right. I was a celebrity chef in the 90s when, there was no internet. You did a shit ton of media appearances. That's how you sold books. Right. But also, I want to pick up too on this idea that, we're always figuring it out. There's no such thing as perfect, because we look at we think, well, when I get to be a certain age, then I'll have it figured out. Then I'll be perfect. And that's something I love about you and the brand, is that we're never perfect. And I also want to just touch on this idea too, that you hit on, that you're sick of this whole reinvention. And I love this idea of rediscovery. Yeah. I think that's so much deeper. And I think that's the true part, is when you accept yourself as you are, you can start to change and be on this trajectory. And that's what I'm finding at midlife is so rich now that I'm in my 60s. How do we go about this rediscovery thing as opposed to the reinvention thing?
Well, and again, I've had a career for a long time, several years ago, of really, riding the reinvention train. And it is an important part, so I don't want to completely discount or discard it. But I think that a lot of people misinterpret it, and I did as well, of thinking, hey, let's slap a fresh coat of paint on a really, bad, dirty surface. And that doesn't hide anything. And we think that it means I have to become someone I'm not. And the older I get, the more I realize it's not about, sometimes it is. Sometimes it's adopting a new personality, a new life, a new lifestyle, whatever. Great. That's part of it. And sometimes it's remembering who the hell you were before everybody told you who to be, and before you gave it up, and before you shrank. And I think women do such a great job in this space on bringing it to light and supporting each other. Men don't. Not many men really are willing to talk about that. It's more of like, hey, what's your workout and what's your testosterone level? And I think that the fact that you recognize sometimes you've got to go backwards to go forwards is important. And my biggest thing with that, I'll tell you a story. This happened about, I say, coming up on about 4 or 5 years ago. Is I was in a really bad spot. Okay, I'd come out of a relationship. Like a lot of people, you get divorced and you go through a series of bad relationships because you're chasing other things instead of actually.
Tell me about it.
Yourself.
I shacked up with rebound guy. Such a mistake. And then COVID hit, and I couldn't get out. So I get it.
You get it. I mean, and look, everybody does. And whether it's you, it's that look in the mirror, and I remember who says, Brene Brown or Mel Robbins or whoever says, basically, when you actually stop believing your own bullshit, that's when you start getting better. And for me, I had chased everything, whether it was money, moving, people, whatever. And then I'd had a rough spot, and I'd thought, well, I'm going to have the eat, pray, love bullshit. And I think, well, I need to get out of here. I'm going to go to, you said Costa Rica. I'm going to go to Costa Rica and I find myself and hang out with spider monkeys on the beach. And so I had booked a house there for a month, and I was all prepared to go. I was living in Atlanta at the time. And I thought, well, I just need to be in my head. And my daughter, who's now 30, called me out and goes, what the hell are you doing? And I go, what do you mean? She goes, seriously. She goes, what are you running from? And one of my favorite quotes is, oddly enough, love her or hate her, that Liz Gilbert quote from Eat, Pray, Love. It's basically, if you want the castle, you got to cross the moat. And she said, you come close to getting everything you want so many times, and then you run away. You run away. Your castle's right here. Your people are right here. Everybody who loves you and everything is right here, and you run away. So, and that hit me. And I thought, it hit me like nothing ever did. And I thought, she's right. I don't need to go find something else. I need to remember who the hell I am. And so what I did is I canceled the house, and I put all my stuff in storage and packed it up, and I got in a car, and I spent the next, month, but I spent the next month driving back through the South and going back to Lubbock, Texas, and finding my roots, and seeing the people and places that made me, and remembering those things, and seeing those demons, and by myself, of going, okay, this is the good stuff, this is the bad stuff, this is where the wheels fell off, embracing who I was, and then using that with the best parts of what I've learned along the way in those 50 plus years. And I think that's when you find yourself again, and then you can move forward. It's not about throwing new stuff on it.
Yeah, I think that's that quote of, when I accept myself as I am, that I can change. When I accept, my roots and my flaws and my strengths and all of the pieces, then I can start to transform. But transforming from this place of knowing who you are, it's like, are you a zinnia or a rose? Like, what's the the basic part of your DNA and what makes you you, which is one reason I love human design, of trying to understand your unique frequency. I have this burning question, though. I do not work with men.
Okay.
Always, even when I was a personal fitness trainer, it was never, the vibe was never good.
Right.
What do you find? And I know that you're in a relationship with a midlife woman.
Yep.
What's the difference in terms of what you guys are going through? And sometimes when I'm being interviewed on podcasts, I was like, well, how is it for men? I was doing a PESI webinar a couple of months ago, and someone asked me that, like, well, what about men? And I was kind of like, well, I don't really know, other than the men in my life. I've got siblings and my man, but what's it like to be a midlife man?
Well, here's the funny thing, okay? And I recognize, who your audience is and who I'm talking to. And I think, as I mentioned at the beginning, probably about 70% of my followers and audience are women as well. I mean, I tell you the answer, you may not like the answer, you may not think the answer, because it's very different than what social media makes you believe. I was asked about a year ago to do an article for a women's publication about, what do women need to know about their man's midlife crisis. Okay. Well, and men love to go, it's not a crisis. Horseshit. It can be a crisis. Okay. Everything's whether losing a parent's a crisis. Okay. It's not all, unicorns and cinnamon. And for men, I think that there's this perception that it's, a lot of them walking away from responsibility. Some do. Let me just put this out there. There's a lot of shitty men. Okay. A lot of shitty women too. And I think that's important. But I think that for a lot of men, the loneliness is a huge part, is underestimated, wildly on, because you have these mixed signals of, I have to be the good ones anyway. I have to be a provider. I have to, not show too much emotion. I have to be there, but at the same time, I need to be emotionally open, emotionally available. It's this yin yang of everything. And they don't know where to behave or find themselves. I'm not talking behavior in terms of being a gentleman or being a good man. I'm talking in terms of just being true to themselves. And, boundaries are the same whether you're a woman or a man. And I think that the thing that, as a man in midlife right now, I think that we put too much emphasis or on the show of it's about achievements and the surface stuff. But it's this stuff that's down here that we just don't dare talk about. It's that dark place it's much darker than people expect, because you think about the suicide rate among men. I mean, it's dramatically more than any other midlife men are more than any other group. That's a real thing. And whether they go through it, but I mean, myself included, I've been there. I've thought that. And not just thinking it, I mean, coming damn close. And there's more men than you realize who get to that point, because, you sure as hell can't tell your woman this. No, God, no, I'm not going to tell my wife this, because, you don't want to, they're expecting something else, and you think that the world expects something else. So you're not going to let in that, I'm scared financially. I am scared of, letting people down. I'm scared of what's next. I'm scared of my own health. They think it's all this, oh, well, go find a young woman. And no, I mean, I crack up at that. Okay. I mean, look, let's call it like it is. If Channing Tatum came and knocked on your door, half the midlife women go, yes, please. Okay. So but it's the idea of, and I put this in that article, it's not that they're unattracted to you. It's the fact that, stuff doesn't work like it used to. It takes, I pee 15 times a night, and it takes me 20 minutes to pee, and it doesn't work always. And yeah, you can get blue pills for that. But you know what? The fact that, I've got a gut too, and I don't necessarily feel great. I don't feel like the stallion that I did, hell, even 10 years ago. And letting your person down, that's there. That's a thought. Okay. And not everybody's out there, living in Miami shirtless with 9% body fat. The real deal is you're thinking, how the hell am I doing this? But I can't tell anybody. And I know I'm not alone on that. I just will say it, because, one thing that I pride myself on, or I think that's cool and part of advanced adulting, is it's the idea of when you take the mask off, and this is men and women, when you go to someone's house, and, you get through the surface level bullshit. How are you? Oh, I'm fine. I'm doing great. And all the puffery. It's like, how you really doing? Oh, man. Okay. Oh, man. I'm sick. My parents are sick. Things aren't great at work. Not that it's all got to be doom and gloom. Just be real, man. That's it. Because some days, look, I'm from West Texas. Some days you're the windshield. Some days you're the bug. And it's okay.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing. I mean, I think it is that with women, it's the vulnerability too, though. I was just talking to a client the other day, and she's got a shell around her, more than just her. Most of my clients come, and it's like they're scared of being vulnerable. They're scared, like, of being rejected or opening up their hearts and, losing someone, all of these things. But I think for men, it's interesting. It's like, anger, right? Anger is acceptable. It's kind of like the
Right.
opposite for women. Like, we're not supposed to be angry.
Right.
We're supposed to be nice. And then menopause hits and you're like, okay, I'm Glenn Close in Fatal Attraction. All bets are off.
Right.
But, for men, it's really hard. I'm really blessed. My man has got his moon in Scorpio. So he's deep. He's my emotional puke bucket. He'll tell me, I can just be like, Kenny, this
Right.
is what's going on. But it's tough for you guys. You've got to look like you have it all together. And also want to touch on this idea of, we think that success is going to make us happy. If I just achieve more, if I just make more money, get the nicer car, have the nicer house. But the research really shows that joy, which is the motion, the momentary emotion, leads to a life that you're flourishing and happiness, which leads to success. We've got it ass backwards. We're taught to climb up this ladder of success, and we get to the top and we're like, why am I not happy? Because as you were saying earlier, we're living someone else's story and our ladder's up against the wrong building. And then I feel like the work at midlife is okay, how do I build that building? How do I just rip it down to the bones, figure out who I am, and then discover myself and build my life on this new foundation, which is true to who I am, which is part of that is just letting your heart ride.
Yeah, I think the idea of just being, it's okay to let it go. I mean, I think that's one of the biggest things is we thought that we are supposed to totally have all of our shit together and have the answers. And we looked at our parents as, oh, well, they do. And when you're finally there and you go, I really don't know what's going on and I can't let anybody do this. For me, it's allowed me to see my parents in a totally different light. It's allowed me to see everybody in a totally different light of you're human and going through this whole thing.
Yeah, we've got more in common. So you're about to turn 60. When's your birthday? I know it's really 60. You're doing 60 days until you're 60.
It's September 23rd.
Okay.
And and what's funny is I'm doing a countdown on it because I've been you're talking about your future husband there being deep and introspective. That's the same thing. I've been thinking all about this, and it's not that it's a birthday. It's the idea that this is truly a next level. There's a difference between turning 50 and turning 60 and above. There's so much about midlife when people are talking about it's midlife. 60 is not midlife, okay? Sorry, I'm not living to 120, okay? And I think that it's almost like college, It's when you're midlife in your 40s, you're still a freshman. You're still figuring that out. Then you get a little more experience. And now crossing over to 60, and I feel like I'm about to hit grad school and, using all of the experience and everything. And it's got me thinking about all the big stuff. It's got me thinking about longevity. And not in terms of, how long am I going to live? It's like, I could go tomorrow. I could, I know people now who are dying in their 60s. I know people who are, not able to do everything. And yet, if you look at social media, everybody's kicking ass and, high kicking and all. But the fact of the matter is, I'm looking at, what I really truly want, what I want to achieve, my kids, the bucket list, everything. And so I'm taking the next 60 days and kind of reflecting on those things because, I think the biggest part is we're all going through this, And, even the first things I put out there, that's the thing. People DM me or send something about, yeah, me too, or I'm thinking that. And that's the best part. That's the real stuff right there, is realizing we're all going through all these different stages of life and, to different degrees and how heavy they are. But at least if you acknowledge it, I think that's what people really want. And that's what it maybe is selfish. I think everybody wants to be seen, heard, acknowledged, and connected in some form or fashion. And I don't need an answer. I don't need a 12-step plan or a blueprint. I just need sometimes to go, yeah, I get you. I hear you. I see you. Me too. And that's what really this whole next evolution of turning 60 is, yeah, I see you. Let's make the most of this, whatever that is to you.
I think I love that you're doing that. As someone who's a couple years in front of you, I have to say my 60s are my best decade yet. I think it's a combination of knowing yourself, loving yourself. The self-compassion piece is huge. Taking care of your body so that you are able to do, go kayaking, go biking,
Right?
do all the things you want to do and feel good. It's like people think it's like this decline is inevitable. And my dad is 96 today.
Wow.
And they're still mobile. They live independently. They've got it well, but pretty together as they're frail. But it can be so incredibly different. And I think one of the keys for me really has been, like you said, we could all get taken out tomorrow. Like I've been taken out by a tick bite, right? So
Right?
having Lyme disease, I'm getting it taken care of. But like realizing just how mortal we are. And to me, that just makes these years so much richer because we are running out of time. That's kind of the way I define midlife as you start to realize that there's less time in front of you than behind you.
Yep.
So I'm really curious. I want to know kind of what's on your bucket list, but I also want to just hear, how is this time of life different than the way you visualized it? Like, so when you were 27 and your whole life was in front of you, it's like fast forward, double your years. How is the actuality of being in your late 50s different than the way that you viewed midlife or midlife plus?
It's funny. I mean, I internally, I still think of myself as young. I still have the same, not the same dreams and ambitions, but I still have things. I don't feel old, but physically I do. I look in the mirror and I do, but I see glimpses.
You're not using magic wrinkle creams?
Look, if you send them, I'll take them. Okay, I'm a total hoe about that. I will take anything. Okay, yes, and I think that's part of it too. Is whether it's how you look or you live or whatever, there's no right answer. There's no right. Whether you want to go, whether you want to hang out your hair or go bald, whether you want to go gray or not, who cares? It's up to you. Whether you want Botox or not, there's no right answer, and we reserve the right to change our minds, weekly. And that's okay. But for me, and I think you asked about that, about how's it different. What I want now and how I see things now and how it's different is my bucket list and my view of life used to be, ambition oriented. I'm still ambitious, but the ambitions change. And that and the speed of things, because I think that I know for myself when I was younger, even into, even up until about 50, it was rush, rush, rush. Whether it's kids, whether it's job, whether it's something else, it was always the bigger, better thing. It was always, I was like that duck where beneath the surface, the legs are going like this. And now I've slowed down significantly in how I see the world, but unfortunately the world sped up. And that's the downside it's happening fast every time, every minute. Every month and turn of the calendar, and that scares the shit out of me. But at the same time, I'm slowing down. Go, no, you're here. You're relaxing. Just be in this moment. I think I'm much more present and in this moment than I'd ever been in my life, and I wish to God that would have happened years ago. If I were to sit my kids or anybody else down and go, it's that old Trace Atkins song. If you're a country fan, you're going to miss this. Yeah, when the kids are driving you crazy, when, shit's busting in the house or whatever, and you're griping about it, you're going to miss this. You are totally going to miss this. When your parents are calling you and they're annoying you with something, you're going to miss this. And I think now it's like, I'm just, all right, let's tap the brakes. Tap the brakes right now. And I've let go of so many other things I really gave a shit about that now it's much smaller and compact. And I like that.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. I just posted about that, about if you're lacking joy, it's because you're rushing through life, because the beautiful moments are happening. I'm observing your beautiful dogs and your beautiful outside and backyard. And I've slowed down intentionally so much, realizing that we have such a capacity for joy, but you've got to slow down enough to see the beautiful things, to take them in, to savor. But it's just like all of this conditioning is telling us to live our lives in the future, but there is no future. Everything is happening right here, right now. So I commend you on doing that. But it does. Do you notice that, like, as you start to shift be more real, be more intentional around slowing down, that there's like a anxiety or uncomfortableness that's like coming up for you? Do you have any?
Not, look, I've been an anxious creature living other people's, dreams and lives for too long. It's not just for women. And I see so much, and y'all do a great job with that. But there's a lot of men that go through that too, with the imposter syndrome. For me now, I'm not, for one of the first times in a long, long time, I'm not as anxious. I feel like so funny. I feel more in control now because I gave up control. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like I have to have a stranglehold on everything or chasing or have everything lined up perfectly. And by giving that up, I feel much more in control of my life. I feel like I'm actually putting one foot in front of the other rather than looking, 20 miles down the road. It's funny. We talk about, you hear a lot of people in the midlife space talk about purpose. I found my purpose. What type of horse shit is that? Okay. Are you on a crusade? So, it's the idea of, it's easy, Scott Galloway, Prof G, I heard him talk about this, and this is, a personal, pet peeve, but I like him, regardless of any, views. But here's a wealthy dude who recognizes, hey, look, I made a lot of money. I've lucked out, but you know what? It's real easy for people to pontificate and sit on a beach and talk about purpose when you're rich. There's not, I've done well and I've lost a lot of money too. Okay. I've been both. And I think when you see things out there, well, take the time and do this for your purpose. Some people don't have that luxury. Some people don't because they're busy being sandwiched in between kids, their own health, their own relationships, their career, their parents, all of this. It's just like, I just got to figure out right now. And we put these ideas of purpose. You're not going to have your name on a building. Okay. It's probably not going to happen. People aren't going to remember you centuries from now. But the idea of your purpose and your bucket list, to me anyway, it's become smaller. Instead of something macro, it's much more micro. Who can I influence? And screw social media. It's more of like I can put my thumbprint on people I have an interaction with, whether that's the people in my immediate family or circle or someone who I had an interaction with. And to me anyway, that's changed the bucket list, and the purpose is what can I do in the immediate world that I touch? Because it's only going to last for another, couple of people down the road.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I feel like purpose is, I really share with people, you're here to enjoy your life. Like pleasure is how you thank the universe for being alive. There's the hedonic happiness, which is the pleasure piece. And then there's the eudaimonic happiness, which is about the purpose piece. But I feel like a lot of your purpose is to enjoy your life and love yourself, because you can't get anything done or go anywhere in life if you're at war with yourself. And I think that it's about observing yourself. So you've got this small self, the, Bradley Richardson, the Ellen Albertson, and then you've got this sort of divine self that can observe your life and can be there for you when you're going through, the death of a loved one, or you're having an illness, or you just got laid off from work because you're 55 and they can hire somebody half your age for half as much. But to be there for yourself no matter what, I think is so important for purpose. And I don't think we emphasize that enough, because you're right. Let's face it, social media, they want to sell you stuff. It is like when we were before the internet, it was all about, we called it dog food. It was all about creating content to get eyeballs so that you could sell them things. That's really what the name of the game is. So, to realize that your purpose is really to know and love yourself exactly as you are. And that will lead to that piece of, I was listening to a great quote the other day, which was about the most important time is now. The most important thing is the person that you're with and speaking with. And the most important thing to do is to be there as a compassionate listener in the moment. And that's it. It's simple.
Yeah. Yeah. I've used this example before. I mean, you talk about this just being, well, two things, squirrel. I mean, I'm thinking like three different thoughts on one of my favorite songs is by Ziggy Marley, and it's called Got to Be True to Yourself.
Got to be true to myself.
Oh, I love it's so good.
Got to be true
whether you like reggae or not, garden variety white boy here. Yeah, it's like in reggae. But It's fantastic because I mean I think that's really it. Before you can do anything, before you can love anybody else, before you can do anything else, you have to be true to yourself, and we forget that so much. And I think that it's easy. I'm gonna piss a lot of people off on this one. It's easy to sit there and go, I'm in my F it era, and you puff up and you're doing this, and it's all this false bravado. It might be real. It might start from here, but it's projected as this false bravado. Instead of just going, I'm just comfortable with who the hell I am. And whether you like it or not, that's great. And I don't need to shout it from the rooftops as much as I do just that quiet confidence of like, yeah, here you go. And this is it. And I think that there's a lot of, whether you call it beauty or power or anything that comes underneath. And, I think I may have mentioned this to you. I mean, I grew up in West Texas. Okay. I live in California now, so now I don't wear boots every day, but I wore boots every day for 57 years. Okay. And the thing about boots, I started to think about this. Boots are a lot like people in the sense that you get a brand new pair of boots. Okay. And like cowboy boots, they're all different kinds. They're all different shapes, sizes, colors. Some are expensive.
I've been to Allen's.
Okay, there you go. I have a pair of chartreuse Lucchese, ostrich boots, okay, that are, nice. I have your work boots, everything. But anything is when you see a brand new pair of boots, they're pure, they're pretty, they're shiny, okay? They're unscuffed. And you wear them after a while. And then after a period of time, what happens, okay? They get scuffed, they get cracked, you can wear the heel down, they get dirty. Sometimes you don't even recognize them anymore. And, for some things you'd think I'd throw it away. But if you go and the cool thing about boots though, it's like people. You can repair them. You can get a new heel on it. You can get them resoled. They're good as new. You can clean them up. You can shine them. You can polish them. And guess what? They still may have a little patina, but it's, you see what's underneath and it's still beautiful and it's still pretty and it's still useful. And we forget so much of that. And, I said that at the beginning here about, it's, sometimes we like to throw new Reinvention paint on it. Mm-hmm. It's not it. Sometimes just polish it up. Sometimes just wipe it away. And we see what we've really got. And that to me, that's your true effort era. It's just, this is who I've been all along or who I wanted to be all along. And I just let it out. That's okay too. That's cool. And having the power, the confidence to be able to say that and feel that, that's the good stuff. That's the good stuff. You don't need to beat your chest or shout it from the rooftops. You just are. And that to me, I look the people I trust the most, the people I look at and go, I don't have to agree with them. I don't have to like their life. I don't have to do anything with it, but that I respect. And that's a big thing. And that's kind of what I've strived for because I spent so much time, I think that's the thing. I did a lot of coaching for a while. I hate coaching. I'll never coach again. Okay. I viewed a lot of it as like discount therapy. And I've done a lot of therapy. I've pretty much purchased a lot of automobiles for therapists back in Dallas. But I think when people look at, some of the folks out there don't even have their own shit together yet. They're saying it. And I think when you really look at it, we're all just trying to get to that real surface again. And that's okay.
Yeah, I love that. And I want to talk a little bit about how you get there, but also want to remark too that what I find interesting is that I've got a 29-year-old similar, to your 30-year-old. And I find that generation is just like, this is who I am. I don't want to label. I don't want to label about gender. I don't want to label about this, that, the next thing. They're just like, they've so, I think in a way, they've so upset about the status of the world that those of us who are Gen X baby boomers have created, that they're just, I'm just going to be me. And I'm not going to, at least that's what I'm seeing with, my kids and not all of them. I have another child who's not at that place. But so, if someone's listening in their sort of 50s, hitting the 60s, maybe even the 40s, how do we get to the place of the realness that you're talking about? I mean, that's like, Brene Brown's talking about that vulnerability. I mean, how do we make the vulnerability and looking ourselves in the mirror and saying, hey, I love you, wrinkles and all. I think in some ways it's harder for women because of the age thing. I'm so distressed about how many celebrities are literally, not just celebrities, how many midlife women are disappearing between GLP-1s. Great medication if you need it for medical reasons, but the people who are taking it to be skeletally thin and then just constantly doing plastic surgery, Botox, again, do what makes you feel good, but If you're chasing looking like your 25-year-old self, you're never
Yeah.
going to catch up.
I think, a lot to unpack there. Um, you know, look, I was in Dallas forever. Locations vary, people
Mm.
vary. If you want to, what I've discovered is if you just want, however you want to look is up to you. I mean, granted, I can't speak as a woman. Definitely, I understand you'll have so much more pressure than I could ever imagine because of society. I went in Sephora the other day with Shannon, and you look around, you go, Jesus, I mean, all these little girls are on the window, on the things. There's no
Right.
women there. There's no one that looks like anyone my age. I mean, I
It's tough.
feel for,
I got called an old hag on for the first time on social media, and I kind of laughed and I just said, I wish she'd called me a witch. But like, gosh, we're not supposed to age.
no, but it's when you get comfortable in whatever's comfortable for you. I mean, I guess that's it. I mean,
Mm.
it's if you want big lips and Botox, you go for it, honey. Do it, but don't feel like you have to. If you do it for you, not because doing it for damn sure not doing it for a man or doing it for anybody else. But if it makes you feel good for it, then go whatever that is. But I mean, I think a lot of people, it's at least men. I don't want to look tired. I just don't want to look tired and haggard, but anyway, that's a totally different thing. You're talking about how do you discover?
How do you get to that place where you are able to like be the old boots, right? Let it all hang out. This is who I am. What's the work
Yeah,
that you help others with that you've done yourself to get to that place where are feeling connected and being authentic?
I think it comes from getting kicked in the ass so many times. I really do. I think I think that it is whatever that is for you. Okay. But I think it is for you know, getting knocked down to the point so many times in whatever it is that you finally just go, and some people never reach that. Some people never reach it. Okay. But it is finally going, maybe I'm the cause of this. Maybe some sort of accountability of maybe I'm in these bad relationships because I keep picking the wrong person, not because men suck or women suck. It's because I keep doing this. What am I looking for? Maybe my financial situation, maybe my living situation, maybe it's my physical, whatever it is. Maybe I keep screwing up certain things, or I'm not, or it could be I haven't lived up to my potential. That was one for me for a long time. I mean, I kept getting my own way. And I think when you start, seeing a pattern, if you finally in that 3 a.m. in the middle of the night or something happens and you look in the mirror and go, I'm tired. I'm tired of this. Okay? That's it. This is a recurring pattern. For myself, that was it. For a lot of people I have talked to and been with and worked with over the years, it's when you find, that said, like the Brene Brown, when you finally stop believing your bullshit. When you go, okay, nobody's here. Nobody's going to judge me. I can say this out loud. What are you doing? Okay. And what are you not doing? And what do you need to bring? What's going to change? And I think having the comfort to go, you're going to screw it up again. It's okay. It's okay. You're not expecting perfection. It's like a diet. You know what? How many times do you screw up a diet? Okay. I'm great for 2 weeks and then, I go off the wagon and then screw it. It's in life, it's anything. Okay. You're going, I've been a big believer in the whole 2 steps forward, 1 step back. You're still making progress. It's okay. Because you are going to screw this up and there will be something that throws you back. And it is not, we're led to believe that life and everything is going to be this hockey stick growth, that relationships are always hot sex and romance on a beach. It's not. Okay. And when you come to grips with that and go, this is okay. This is all right. It's not Six Flags, but this may be a little boring, but it's okay. And I'm at peace. Peace is that word that's thrown out in all the midlife stuff often. Oh, I found my peace. Or I'm protecting, well, you mentioned Gen Z and millennials. I'm protecting my peace. Okay. You know what? You get peace by going through the hard stuff. You don't just sit there and it's suddenly done. You have to experience, in my opinion, at least for Gen X and this generation, how do you get there? You get there by getting kicked around a lot and then realizing there's got to be a better way and being comfortable in the discomfort so you can then choose a different path. That's
Yeah,
it.
and for me, the key, and if you're listening, it's that self-compassion piece, knowing that I need to be kind to myself rather than judgmental. When something goes wrong, common humanity, we all are trying, we all make mistakes. We
Yeah.
all, when something goes wrong, it's normal. And then that mindfulness of give myself what I need. But I also wanted to reflect on something that's super important for the listeners. We think that if we change the outside,
Yep.
then the inside will change. But everything is a reflection. It's like looking in the mirror and thinking, if I change the mirror, then I'll change what I see.
Yeah.
We need to change ourselves first. I mean, this was my situation, with my current partner who I'm deeply in love with. I needed to pick different guys. Our second date, I took him to, I decided, you know what, just gonna go about it really differently. Gonna not just get right into the sex and not the stuff that we're told in the media, what it's like, this whole midlife. When you're similar, you've been together 5 years, I've been together 6.
Yep.
It was not love at first sight. Yep. He arrived at my door with 24 roses and a cooler full of vegetables he'd grown himself. And it was just fun. Nothing hurt. And then I took him to my best friend's re-wedding, and everyone was like, thumbs up, great guy. He's an engineer. He's not like the sexy kind of men that I had been attracted to in my 30s. But it's like you said, I think changing yourself, wanting something different. And then there's that piece of the big leap of understanding that we have to raise the bar in our worthiness. If we don't feel good about ourselves, if we don't love ourselves, we sabotage ourselves. When you love yourself, you stop attracting the things that insult your soul, and you start to attract what is truly in your best interest so that you can enjoy the next decades while you're still healthy enough to have fun.
I think 100% on all that. And I love it. A bucket full of vegetables. I like that.
Cooler actually was a big,
okay.
Kenny doesn't do anything small when it comes to
good for
he's a
Kenny.
Gardenaholic. Don't tell
like
him I told you that.
I think that, part of it is the life that I have now, the choices that I've made now, the peace that I have now, whatever the upward trajectory that I've got going right now came from, largely being on the floor and recognizing it. And I think part of it, like my relationship with Shannon's a great example. Okay. I would have screwed that up 10 years ago. I wasn't ready for that. No, you've got to, I hadn't grown into the man that I am now, even though I was 50 years old. I mean, and I think that's the thing is that you're always growing. You're always evolving. You're always moving. Okay. Who I was at 45 when I got divorced, I am a dramatically different man right now. And it hasn't always been a fun show either. But to getting to that point, to that comfort, to that, believing in myself. Yeah. And, I think that, whether it is a situation, a person, whatever, you're right. We do try and, it's funny. I hadn't thought about this in a long time. You mentioned this about we change the outside. Relationships are a great example. And people used to tell me, my friends had told me, they go, Bradley, the problem with you is you keep picking better looking versions of the same rotten person. And that hit. And they were right. Okay. I was like, wow. Because it was all the exterior, that phase of the arm candy stuff. I mean, Shannon's knockout, unbelievable. Okay. But she's also just as real as they come, and calls me out on bullshit, but also gives me that freedom and ability to just be who you are. Good, bad, ugly, scared, confident, powerful, all of that. When you find, I don't care if it's a friend, I don't care if it's a man or a woman, whomever, if you find people that you're connected to that allow you to do that, and you are comfortable here in the first spot, then you're doing okay. And to me, I'm happy and I'm sad at the same time. I'm happy I've finally been able to figure that out. And I know I'm not alone because I feel like I've screwed up the past 20 years. Not screwed up because it got me to this point, but man, you sit there, and that's one of the big things in this whole 60 by 60 is like, I'm looking at, wow, you wasted a lot of time. And I'm not going to waste any more at all in anything. I'm going to be just ruthless with what I allow in and what I put out in moving forward, because I've earned every damn bit to get me to this spot.
Yeah, that's great. Living a life with no regrets moving forward. I can't tell you how many women I meet in their 50s and even 40s who are like feeling regret as if there's no space in the future to create a life you love.
Well, and I think that this is the thing. It's such a simple thing. I didn't create this saying. I don't know who did, but I mean, it works. It's the idea of when you really look at it, but of you, you have a track record of success, 1,000%. You're batting 1,000. You have lived everything and survived everything that you thought would kill you, break you, and kick you in the butt. And whether that is a divorce, a relationship, a job loss, being broke, dealing with horrible friends, whatever it is, you're here. And if we look at it, I think it goes back to the timing thing. Those things that you thought were horrible, sometimes we hang on to them too long. I know I did. I know I gave energy and life force to so many bad things longer than they ever deserved. And at some point it tips from someone or something went wrong or did you wrong to, no, it's on me. It's on me because I'm hanging on to that too long. They're not thinking about me. That thing's long gone, but I'm hanging on to that. And life's way too damn short to be doing that and just letting that stuff go. It sounds easy. It's harder. It's harder than it sounds, but once you kind of grasp that and go, it just is irrelevant in the big timeline of things. The timeline is short, and so you got to make the most of it.
Yeah, then for me and with my clients, it really all comes down to training your mind. We have negative, positive, and neutral thoughts every day. Thousands of them. And you don't feed the negative ones. If you notice that you're ruminating about the person that pissed you off, you're like, you know what? Why am I love when I think I know it was Elie Wiesel, or I knew someone who got hit by the Unabomber. And when people ask them, like, aren't you upset about this? Like, they took my hand, they took, years of my life, all of these things. Why am I going to throw more energy into that? So that's a great advice. So one last question before you share more about what your 60 to 60 is about. What's one final thing that you want people listening to really get? If you just had to say like one nugget.
Yeah, it's going to sound so simplistic, and it's not advice I would have given 2 years ago or 3 years ago, but it's the idea that, you're not alone in this. That's really it. You're not alone, and it's okay to do it your way. That's the biggest thing. I think that what's come to gotten me to this point is just putting not putting the blinders on and saying, because we see so much noise. We have so much noise from social media, from our friends, from if you're still hanging on to expectations, and just go, what you're going through, it's okay. You're not crazy. You're not alone, and that finding that connection somehow and recognizing that, I think, is a really powerful thing, and that you can be who you want to be as you define it. That's the good stuff right there. We need to remember more of that because we don't have much time.
Yeah, being vulnerable and connecting. And I've just really loved this conversation. Has been really, really nourishing to me. I've learned so much, Bradley. So I really appreciate it. I hope everyone has gotten multiple golden nuggets, and just, I don't know, the energy, what you're really communicating is just be your beautiful damn self. Like, it's like Dr. Seuss, you are the youest you. And the beautiful thing about that is when you are the youest you, no one can tell you you're doing it wrong. When we put on all of these masks and we think we need to show up in a different way, we drive ourselves crazy. So just be your beautiful self. So Bradley, people want to connect with you. I know you've got this 60 till 60 going on. What's the best way to find you?
Absolutely. The best ways are going to be Instagram or Facebook at I'm Bradley Richardson. I am Bradley Richardson. And I'm not selling anything. I'm not pushing a course or community or anything. It's just, look, come follow and come along for the journey and the content, and let me know you're there. That's really it. It's getting people to share their voice and to be able to talk about these things as we matriculate this whole next level of life. That's really it. That's advanced adulting.
Beautiful. So go follow Bradley. I am Bradley Richardson. I will put it in the show notes. I am following you and commenting daily because you always have beautiful nuggets and so much wisdom. Hey, thank you all for being here. I hope this has helped you to feel good about yourself and be yourself, because that's my takeaway. And I can feel Bradley's energy and his love that he has and his desire to connect. So do connect. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Dr. Ellen, the Midlife Whisperer. We'll catch you on the next episode of Rock Your Midlife. Welcome to the Rock Your Midlife podcast, your transformative sanctuary designed to guide you through self-discovery and provide the tools you need to find your purpose and navigate life authentically. Whether you want to optimize your health, boost your happiness, or deepen your self-love, this podcast is your ultimate toolkit.